King Nebuchadnezzar had a gold statue made, 90 feet high and 9 feet wide, and he had it set up in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then the king gave orders for all his officials of the provinces to come together. They were to attend the dedication of the statue which King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. When all these officials gathered for the dedication and stood in front of the statue, a herald announced in a loud voice, "People of all nations, races, and languages, you will hear the sound of the trumpets, and as soon as the music starts, you are to bow down and worship the gold statue that the king has set up. Anyone who does not bow down and worship will immediately be thrown into a blazing furnace." And so, as soon as they heard the sound of the instruments, the people of all the nations, races, and languages bowed down and worshipped the gold statue which the king had made. It was then that some Babylonians took the opportunity to denounce the Jews. They said to the king, "May your majesty live forever. Your majesty has issued an order that as soon as the music starts, everyone is to bow down and worship the gold statue, and that anyone who does not bow down and worship it is to be thrown into a blazing furnace. There are some Jews whom you put in charge of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who are disobeying your majesty's orders. They do not worship your God or bow down to the statue you made." At that, the king flew into a rage and ordered the 3 men to be brought before him. He said to them, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, is it true that you refuse to worship my God and to bow down to the gold statue I have set up? Now then, as soon as you hear the sound of the trumpets, bow down and worship the statue. If you do not, you will immediately be thrown into a blazing furnace. Do you think there is any God who can save you?" Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered, "Your Majesty, we will not try to defend ourselves. If the God whom we serve is able to save us from the blazing furnace and from your power, then he will. But even if he doesn't, your Majesty may be sure that we will not worship your God, and we will not bow down to the gold statue that you have set up." Then Nebuchadnezzar lost his temper, and his face turned red with anger at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So he ordered the furnace to be heated 7 times hotter than usual. And he commanded the strongest men in his army to tie the 3 men up and throw them into the blazing furnace. So they tied them up, fully dressed, shirts, robes, caps, and all, and threw them into the blazing furnace. Now because the king had given strict orders for the furnace to be made extremely hot, the flames burned up the guards who took the men to the furnace. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, still tied up, fell into the heart of the blazing fire. Suddenly Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet in amazement. He asked his officials, "Didn't we tie up 3 men and throw them into the blazing furnace?" They answered, "Yes, we did, your Majesty." "Then why do I see 4 men walking around in the fire?" he asked. "They are not tied up, and they show no sign of being hurt, and the 4th one looks like an angel." So Nebuchadnezzar went up to the door of the blazing furnace and called out, "Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, servants of the supreme God, come out." And they came out at once. All the princes, governors, lieutenant governors, and other officials of the king gathered to look at the 3 men, who had not been harmed by the fire. Their hair was not signed, their clothes were not burned, and there was no smell of smoke on them. The king said, "Praise the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He sent his angel and rescued these men who serve and trust him. They disobeyed my orders and risked their lives rather than bow down and worship any god except their own. And now I command that if anyone of any nation, race, or language speaks disrespectfully of the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, He is to be torn limb from limb, and his house is to be made a pile of ruins. There is no other God who can rescue like this. And the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to higher positions in the province of Babylon. Here are the lessons from the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego that we can apply to achieving success or meeting a goal. Have strong convictions. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were willing to risk their lives rather than compromise their beliefs. They knew that they could be thrown into a fiery furnace, but they were not willing to bow down to an idol. This shows us that we should have strong convictions and be willing to stand up for them, even when it is difficult. If we have strong convictions, we will be more likely to stay focused on our goals, even when things get tough. We will be less likely to give up or compromise our values. Never give up on your dreams. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were thrown into a fiery furnace, but they did not give up hope. They believed that their God would rescue them, and they were right. This shows us that we should never give up on our dreams, no matter how difficult the journey may seem. If we never give up on our dreams, we are more likely to achieve them. We will keep working hard and never give up hope. Believe in yourself and your abilities. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego believed that their God would rescue them, but they also believed in themselves and their abilities. They knew that they were strong and that they could survive the fiery furnace. This shows us that we should believe in ourselves and our abilities, even when things are tough. If we believe in ourselves and our abilities, we will be more likely to succeed. We will have the confidence to take on challenges and to overcome obstacles. Work hard and never give up. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were not rescued by magic. They were rescued because they worked hard and never gave up. They believed in themselves and their abilities, and they never gave up hope. This shows us that we should work hard and never give up on our dreams, no matter how difficult the journey may seem. If we work hard and never give up, we are more likely to achieve our goals. We will put in the effort and the dedication to make our dreams a reality. Trust in God, even when things seem hopeless. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were in a hopeless situation. They were tied up and thrown into a fiery furnace, and the flames were so hot that they burned up the guards who had taken them to the furnace. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego trusted in God, and He miraculously rescued them. This shows us that we should trust in God, even when things seem hopeless. Even when things seem hopeless. If we trust in God, He will help us to achieve our goals. He will give us the strength and the courage to keep going, even when things get tough. By applying these lessons to our own lives, we can achieve success in meeting our goals,